My name is Joe Moore. I work for Pivotal Labs. We're a agile software development consultancy. We're about 500 people. And I'm here to talk about intense remote collaboration using remote pair programming. And at Pivotal Labs, I'm here to tell you our secret to success is co-location. Get those people in the same room. And that's truly one of those keys to our success. And we're so into co-location that we co-locate on the same computer using a software development technique called pair programming. Who has heard of pair programming? I'm going to call that 75%. For those of you that don't know, pair programming is a software development technique by which two programmers work on the same computer at the same time, solving the same software problem. And if you walk into one of our offices, this is what you see: a whole hive of people paired up on computers, solving the same problem at the same time. Now, why would you want to do this? There's a plethora, slides and slides and slides of benefits that I could show. A continuous code review, continuous cross-training, empathy with your coworkers. You introduce fewer bugs because, in general, two heads are better than one. And no, it does not cost twice as much. And no, it does not take twice as long. And yes, there is empirical evidence that shows what I just said. So we're all about co-location, right? Except for when we're not. Because I'm technically in Atlanta and I work remotely and we have some people sprinkled around at different places. And very often our clients will introduce remote people into the project, either at the beginning of the project or later in the project. Teams in Louisville, teams in Austin, you name it. So what does the company that's all about co-location to the point where we pair program, what do we do? Well, we use remote pair programming. So what is remote pair programming? Guess what? It's the same thing with the word remote added to it. And I'm not being facetious, it really is that. It's the same thing. Two people working on the same problem at the same time, solving on the same computer remotely. What are the benefits? All those other things. Remotely. And I truly do believe it, and we really have proven that that's the case. So what does it look like? Pictures are worth 1,000 words. We've got a guy here in one of our offices. He's remote pairing with a guy in Boston who's got a video chat session up on that big monitor. On the other monitor, the one that's very dark, there's a screen sharing session where they're working on the code at the same time. Here's my setup in my home office at home. Got a big computer, it's got code on it. That's a screen sharing session with our New York office. And right in the middle of the screen is this floating iPad with Bill and Rohit, who I pair with both those guys. That's my video chat session, so we can actually hear and see each other. And it's all about technology, really, 100%, right? Talk about iPads, we've got screen sharing and big computers, and so let's talk about technology. Begin the technology section. Okay, you need high-speed internet, screen sharing, video chat, and yeah, VPN maybe sometimes, usually, but not always. Okay, that's it for technology. Because you all know this. Your situations are going to be unique. Everybody in this room, your company has a different combination of operating systems, corporate security policies or lack thereof, technical competence, internet, anything, you name it. Everybody's got a different technology dragon to slay. So what you're going to do is you're going to try different stuff from a technology point of view. You're going to Google the problems and the things you can't solve with free stuff. You're going to buy something. And you're all going to come up with something slightly different. And I could talk forever about the billions of combinations, but you're each going to find your own stuff. Because it's really all about people. As with almost everything in this world, it's really the core thing is about people. It's this. It's, yes, it is about iPads with fancy speakers plugged into them so people can hear, but really the key to remote programming success is tall, balding Turkish men with dark-rimmed glasses. That is the key. But more importantly, is the smiles on their faces right now. So do's and don'ts, practical advice. You're excited about this, you want to give it a try. What should you do? Most important things are to be patient and have a good attitude. Those guys we just saw, big smiles on their faces, carrying iPads around an office, dealing with technology issues, and working with their remote counterparts. Most important thing. More practical advice, we've got use video. We just heard from another speaker, seeing people's faces, it humanizes them. You trust them. Don't just use a voice chat. Remote people have an office buddy. Those people packing those iPads around, they're responsible for that person that day. They're going to make sure your screen sharing session is working and computers are working. They're going to take you to meetings, things like that. Remote people, be assertive about being included. Programmers love to walk up to each other's computers and say, hey, I've got the question about whatever. Make sure as a remote person you are included in that conversation. And local people, include those remote people. Like here's a meeting where we have a whole slew of these things that have been brought to a meeting by their buddy that day, and they'll take them back to the pairing station later. Here's an interesting thing. Let's look at this again. We're working on the same computer at the same time, solving the same problem. I can't see his hands. When have you ever had to worry about that? Seeing somebody's hands? Well, when you're working on the same computer at the same time, turns out being able to see if they're using the computer is pretty important. So you have to have really good what we call pairing etiquette, which is a fancy way of saying be nice and considerate with people. So I'm missing a lot of those visual cues. Somebody reaching for the mouse, somebody reaching for the keyboards. I don't see that as well because my view is from the shoulders up usually. So I say a lot of things like, do you mind if I type? Would you like to type? Do you mind if I look at something? I'm going to grab the mouse. And it takes, and those little verbal cues are good etiquette anyway, and also help with the fact that you lose a lot of that peripheral vision kind of cues. Things to avoid. This is a lot of the contrast of what we just heard about. Local people don't exclude remote people from anything, not just your pair programming session, but meetings and such. And remote people don't excuse yourself from those things. You want to be included in everything. Don't just walk away. If I was sitting next to somebody, it's very rare that I would just get up and walk away without saying anything. But when you're remote, it's a little bit easier to do that, so don't just get up and walk away. And don't just take over the keyboard and mouse. Nobody here who is on a laptop would want somebody to walk up next to them and just start using their keyboard or mouse, right? That would be disturbing. Have really good etiquette when you're remote pair programming with somebody. Because pair programming is hard. It's the most powerful and beneficial software development technique that I know of. But it's very hard, and adding the remote overhead makes it even harder. But it's worth it, trust me. If you're willing to do this, your team is going to be incredibly effective. But remember, like, yes, it is important to have good technology, but the most important thing is to have a good attitude and just a little patience. Thank you.